What's up, everybody? It's Joey Vontes here for the first edition of We the People at Fight the PsyOps. As we move into 2025, and obviously we know all the things that we still face in terms of obstacles with President Donald Trump or President-elect Donald Trump getting into office, going through the process of certification on January 6, 2025, and then the inauguration day that's supposed to take place on January 20th of 2025. We know all that we still have to go through in order to get there, whether it be factors of Biden potentially resigning and trying to get Kamala into office and inflict some type of civil unrest across the nation or invoke some type of martial law situation. We know that. We understand. We're not being duped or being naive to the possibilities that are in front of us. But let's say we do get to that point. What we are preparing for along the way is understanding that we are getting to a new day in America. We are getting to a point where the selections and the picks by Trump for his administration, namely people like RFK, who has now become the leader who is going to govern over not only the HHS, obviously, but everything that falls in line, the FDA, CDC, NIH, and the regulatory agencies going after and scrutinizing them and hopefully dismantling them. That's really what we hope for here. And I think we're going to see that take place. And in addition to that, we see the other aspects with Vivek and with Elon and what they're going to do with the Department of Government Efficiency. And this is something that I really want to dial in on and focus on with you for just a bit, because I think this is exceptionally important to Americans for so many reasons. But we see how these major corporations take advantage of everyday hardworking Americans, not only from the perspective of the consumers who buy their products, who are being pumped down their throat constantly with ads, with information, with pitches on the products that they're trying to sell you, that they're buying for pennies on the dollar, packaging up and making you purchase these things, emptying your pockets, going after you. But the way that they treat their internals as well. These company owners, these founders, these CEOs, these managers, these people who work in these positions of power, positioning themselves in a way to take advantage of their own staff, their own workers. The way that they are looking to inflict maximum harm and extract the most maximum amount of use out of their own force, but then not provide them with what they need, and doing it all in the name of greed. And I think what's awesome about this, though, is we are about to turn a page, because what we have seen up to this point is the fact that these people's arrogance, their pride, has been brewing over, spilling over, right? Thinking that they're untouchable, not understanding that the American people are the underdog. And the underdog, while they've been going through the various aspects of life in general and being subject to these types of behaviors from these organizations and from these powers that be, not only from government standpoint, but company standpoints, etc., they've mistakenly forgot about the power of the Constitution. And the fact of the matter is you can look in almost any state, I believe it's all states, that the states yield their power in their own state's constitution to say that they all are subject to the supreme law of the land, which is federal law, constitutional law. And that constitutional law has certain provisions and protections, and that's why it's so important for people, the American people, to truly know your rights and to be able to exercise them effectively to protect yourselves and your family. Protect your livelihood, protect your work, protect your excellence, protect your creativity, protect who you are and what you do. Because a lot of times, what these places like to do, whether it be federal agencies, whether it be organizations, whatever it may be, they try to position and put you in a corner, making you think that you can only do things within a certain framework or within a certain court or this or that, while conducting illegal, federally criminal behavior towards citizens of this great United States of America, and thinking that they are untouchable because of the way that they have positioned contracts, not understanding what's called parse syntax grammar, which is a powerful weapon that every American should be aware of. And within that framework is constitutional provisions within the amendments and understanding constitutional law and knowing what is available to you. This is why I think it's so important. I think it's so important for every American citizen, especially as kids. I think our educational system, we're talking about, the fact Trump talking about he's going to eliminate the Department of Education. I think what should be instituted and what should be put in place, a new framework of education built up within the states to say, you know what? We're going to teach our kids how to create a budget, how to manage money. We're going to teach them the power of understanding loans. We're going to help them to understand financial freedom, financial peace, maybe something out of the Ramsey book. Who knows? Understanding how to properly get yourself set up to purchase properties and how to make investments, etc. But also understanding constitutional law and your constitutional rights, and understanding that constitutional law is the supreme law of the land. And empowering people to know these things so that they can take their livelihood back. They can dismantle contracts that were illegally created or put with certain words that were predatory and phrases and captions and certain structures that are absolutely predatory. That way they can stop allowing these big dogs or these powers that be to dictate and intimidate with fear and tactical strategy to say, hey, we have legal teams, we got money, we got this, we got that, we'll go against you and we'll annihilate you. Not understanding what's actually afforded to the American citizen so that they can be empowered to stand up and then reverse that power by showing these people what the law really is and dismantling them. And I think it's an interesting day, indeed. And this is why I'm very excited about a Trump administration. I don't claim that Trump is God or that he's some savior of the world. But what I do believe is that what took place to him in his first 4 years, and even after, in the last 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, the vilification, the legal woes and all that took place there, that these things opened his eyes and woke him up to what was taking place and basically made him feel like a common man because he could relate. Getting the mugshot taken, getting a bullet in his ear, and the assassination attempts. You're talking about people coming against him and labeling with certain things and taking him to court for this, taking him to court for that, wrongfully doing this and trying to use the law in an illegal way against him. He realized, hold on a second. Okay, I think I get where people are coming from now. And this is why people can now relate and have come from all different angles, all different creeds, races, etc., backgrounds, and said, man, forget this. I'm voting for this guy because he represents all of us. And while he may have been rich and he's enjoyed an incredible life and everything, the success that he's been able to accumulate in his own right on what he's done and how he's done it, the vilification over the last 4 years is indicative of what the American people have been subjected to in this country for decades and maybe centuries. And this is what's taken place. And so now we are understanding when we speak about the globalists and the powers that be and the deep state and all the various components of what they've coined us to be conspiracy theorists for, now we understand that no, it actually is real. And people from every walk of life who would have never seen it otherwise have woken up. I just read this quote and was watching some of the video clippings from Joe Rogan where he said, you know what, I get it. Once I met Donald Trump and said, I understand now. I get it. He says, it's the fact that these people, like they came against me for ivermectin during COVID and all that took place there. I understand where they're coming from now. And this is why we voted him in. Because we need someone crazy enough like Donald Trump to say, forget this. I'm going after all these agencies. I'm going after the deep state. I'm going after these globalists. I see the suppression, what has been hidden in the shadows, the shadowy government to subject, control, and rule over people in this way that is manipulative, that is divisive, looking to tear us down and be totalitarian on every single level of life. Enough is enough, and we're going to go after them. And this is why we've gotten behind him. And so when I look at that, it's a breath of fresh air. And I have such a breath of fresh air. I'm serious. While I'm actually telling this to you guys and starting off and kicking off this show, it's crazy how everything happens. Everything happens for a reason. And I'll share some things with you guys at a later point that will make a whole lot of sense. But there's reasons why everything takes place. God has a divine calendar, and everything flows the way that it needs to when it needs to. And man, it's amazing. It's amazing. I couldn't be happier. And so I say all that to say, I want you as the American people to understand it is your time. It is our time to be empowered, to be enlightened, to be educated, and to be armed with the full extent of what is available to us so that we can take the power back. We can dismantle every agency and corporation who is predatory in behavior. We can call them out on the carpet and expose their deeds of darkness and put it out there for the whole world to see so that we can see the true nature of these predators. And I'm telling you, we have to go to the full extent to do it. You cannot stop, can't get afraid, can't be wavered because of what they're saying or the intimidations of threats, etc. We are going to go all the way. We are going to do every single thing in our power. And I pray, not as a tactic of intimidation or fear, because we don't need that. When you're using the law the correct way, you don't need any of that. You're just using what's actually, because what the law is actually supposed to do is to prosecute and hold responsible those who are doing bad things. And that's all we're going to do. We're simply going to use it and see it through until it's actually done. We have no quit in us. We have a fight in us. We've been through enough fire. We've been through enough trials and tribulations. We've gone through the valley lows. We've been mistreated. We've been spit upon. We've been stepped on. We've been subjected to evil, vindictive, manipulative behavior. We've been subject to their lies and their tactics and their strategies that they've used against us to try to tear us down and take advantage of us and extract everything from you while giving you nothing in return. And that day is done. That day is over. A new day has dawned in this country. And this era will be a golden age in American history because we are going after all of them. And my prayer is that they realize it, and those who have the opportunity can make a change right now. But those who in their pride and in their arrogance and in their haughtiness stand up and puff out their chests and think, hey, I can't be caught. I can just delete everything that I've done. There's ways to bring that back up. I can obstruct justice. I can frame this and we can agree on this and we can paint our narratives and blah, 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 whatever the case is. No. Trust me. I hope you change your ways or you run. You run because we're coming. The American people, we're coming for you. And we will not stop it. We will not relent. We are coming with the full force of the law against you. And we're going to use every single measure possible. And the difference is now we are not alone. We have banded together. We've had conversations. We have evidence. We have backup. We got the authority and the law on our side. And we've learned and we've studied and we've put these things together and we know how to utilize our resources combined together to come against and dismantle this type of behavior and hold to account all of the people who have done these things to ensure that the full consequence and the weight and exposure in the public eye is brought to every single one of these people who have been involved in this type of behavior. So help me God. We the people. I don't know how many of you have been paying attention to some of the news related to government budget and spending. Obviously, we've talked about trillions of dollars being passed to different countries and all the various aspects of we're giving money to anybody else but America, right? But let's talk about our own agencies and one of the biggest ones, For those of you who haven't heard, the Pentagon just failed its seventh audit in a row. They were unable to account, it says, for 60% of their $4.1 trillion in assets, $824 billion annual budget. Meanwhile, the IRS is warning Americans that starting in 2025, they must report payments on Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle of over $600. This comes from Geiger Capital. He put out this tweet. He said, this new $600 rule is for any side gig, part-time, of work, goods, or services. In the past, it says a 1099K form was only invoked once you cross $20,000 of income plus 200 transactions. The threshold is now just $600. Simply put, he says the IRS is going after and squeezing normal Americans. Squeezing normal Americans. And I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean, there's no other way that you can explain that. $4.1 trillion unaccounted for, $824 billion in terms of an overall annual budget, and you're telling me 7 audits in a row? 7 failed audits in a row. But will there be any prosecution? Will there be any legal liability? None. And if it weren't for people like this putting it out in the open, the public wouldn't even know about it. And I'm sure across the mainstream as a whole, whether with regard to social media outlets, etc., nobody will hear about this. You're not gonna hear anybody talk about this because they want to cover it up. It's going into the deep state's pockets, and they don't want you, we the people, to know about it. But no, don't mind that. Your $600 transactions and things that you've done within Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, we need every single piece of that pie. Every single piece of it. Think about it. You buy something, you get taxed. You eat something, you get taxed. You're in your house, you get taxed. You sell something, you get taxed. You get taxed all the way to your death. And I, for one, am in support of shutting down and abolishing the IRS and the Fed. It is absolutely crazy. For anybody who hasn't, I highly advise you to read this book. I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now real quick so you guys can see this. And it's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. You need to read this to understand what the Fed is. Understand what fiat currency system is. What a fiat currency system is. I'm also going to put a link in the description for you guys. I'll drop it in the comments as well. I want you guys to watch this documentary. It's a multi-part series. It's a little bit old, so the quality is not the greatest, but it really goes into depth, and it's called The Money Masters. And it gives a breakdown on how money was created, how it was implemented within the money systems of America, how that's built out. And once you gain an understanding of this, it kind of takes away the scales from your eyes in terms of how money actually works, what it is, and how they use it against us to control us. It's very important that the American people see this. They just simply take money out of thin air, print it, and put it back into the system. There's no gold to back it. It's a fiat currency system being funded by the hardworking Americans. Think about how we get stressed out, so worried, people commit suicide, have all kinds of issues and situations related to money, the stress and the weight and the fear and the intimidation, ulcers, heart attacks, etc., all related to issues with money. And a very important development that I think not a lot of people are really paying attention to, because we're distracted, man. Let's be honest. There's so many different things that are happening simultaneously that are distracting the American people right now, people across the globe in general. And while that's happening, the Biden administration has just authorized Ukraine to utilize U.S. missiles, not their own, U.S. missiles, to strike inside the heart of Russia. I mean, this is absolute insanity. What in the world is senile Biden and his puppeteers thinking that they're going to accomplish by doing this? Well, they're warmongers. They want to lead this. They want to have this happen because this could be the destruction of the U.S. We all know that if you back someone into a corner far enough, A NATO country like the US, with all of its allies coming together and allowing Ukraine to do this inside the heart of Russia, what's going to happen? Obviously, Russia is going to go nuclear. They're going to say, hey, we have no other choice but to defend ourselves. And if we're going to go down, we're taking you and the rest of the world with us. And they're leading us right into this, a World War III scenario on so many levels. And I want you to hear, after this authorization was given, what Zelensky had to say. Watch this.
План посилення України – це план перемоги, який я представив партнерам. Одним з головних пунктів є далекобійність для нашої армії. Сьогодні багато в медіа говорять про те, що ми отримали дозвіл на відповідні дії. Але удари завдають не словами. Такі речі не анонсують. Ракети самі за себе скажуть. Обов'язково. Слава Україні.
Now, after Zelensky's video, Putin came out and had a response of his own. You got to hear this one.
In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border.
These measures may have effectively pushed us to the brink of a World War III situation. And honestly, if I'm looking at this, the GOP must impeach Biden now. If we want to avoid a situation like this occurring, this is what has to happen. Because they're going to put us on this crash course. They're going to put us in some type of harm's way before we even get a chance to get President-elect Donald Trump back into office and get into power and call a peace deal, put everything back into motion, and we can move forward with life. These idiots are pushing us to this position. And not only are they doing it there, I mean, there's so many other avenues and facets in which they are moving and functioning in at a very high speed. And while we're looking at all of our other things that are happening in life, they're making these moves very fast. Mitch McConnell just put out an advices on cabinet appointees. He's now telling people that there will be no recess appointments in Trump's next administration. And I mean, this is absolutely insane. He said he just sent a message to President-elect Donald Trump regarding his cabinet picks. There will be, according to Mitch, no recess appointments. Good old Mitch. I mean, isn't he in a home already? Like, isn't he already being treated for like stage, 2 or 3 dementia? The guy's gone. How is he still anywhere near anything to do with politics, leadership, authority, decision-making whatsoever? But this is, again, what we are subjected to as the American people. These career politicians calling shots, subject to these lobbyists who are giving them all these massive amounts of money for their own special interests. And in some hilarious news, Mike Pence, traitor, who should be in jail, the guy should be facing some serious consequences, has come out and said that the Senate should reject Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I don't even know why this guy even has a voice anymore whatsoever. I mean, it's irrelevant, obviously. Nobody cares what he has to say. Nobody cares about him. Guy is a complete traitor. Turned against his chief, turned against this country, turned against so many because he's a deep state puppet. And he was placed in that role, in that position for a very intentional and specific purpose. But who cares what Mike Pence thinks? Nobody's listening to Mike Pence. Now, if you haven't heard, pay attention, please. This is very serious. It's regarding health. There's been an E. coli outbreak that's linked to organic carrots that have infected. They say at least 39 people across 18 states, including California. The outbreak is connected to several brands of carrots, which have been since recalled, according to the CDC and prevention. The carrots, according to the CDC, come from Bakersfield-based Grimway Farms. Well, this affected supply is no longer in stores. They still may be in homes. The affected brands are 365, so Whole Foods, Bunny Love, Cal Organic, Compliments Full Circle, Good and Gather, Greenwise, Grimway Farms, Market Side, Nature's Promise, O Organic, President's Choice, okay? Rallies, Simple Truth, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and Wholesome Pantry. It says recalled baby organic carrots have been best if used dates by ranging from 9/11/24 to 11/12/24. The recalled whole organic carrots were available for purchase in stores approximately from August 14th through October 23rd and do not have best if used by dates. It says of the 39 confirmed E. coli patients connected to this outbreak, 3 of them live in California, according to the CDC. There have been 15 hospitalizations and 1 death. I mean, that's pretty serious. The death occurred in California, the CDC said. According to the CDC, most people infected experience severe stomach cramps, diarrhea, often bloody or vomiting. The symptoms usually start about 3 to 4 days after consumption. That's pretty heavy. So if you have carrots and they're any one of these brands, between those dates, please toss them, get rid of them. Just want to give you guys a heads up so you can keep your family safe and protected. And as we cap off today's episode, I want to leave you guys with something on a positive note, something to encourage you, to invoke that fight spirit in all of us. I think this is such a beautiful thing. Look, guys, continue to fight those psyops. Continue to move forward into this next era with poise, with grace, with strength, all right, with focus, understanding what days are ahead of us, that there's work to be done, but we can accomplish it. We will do it together. Look, make sure you follow me. If you're here on Rumble, that's where I am trying to bring everything to. Please go to my Rumble channel. Make sure you hit the follow button. Those of you who are watching this on YouTube, maybe those of you who are watching the clips and whatnot as well on Instagram, be sure to follow me on Rumble. Invite your friends. Share this episode out. Let's get this thing going. Every single day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we are going to be here live with you, okay? Now, this last piece that I'm going to give to you guys comes from none other than the great John Bones Jones, UFC 309 post-fight speech. This is incredible. It's encouraging. It's uplifting. Let's all have that same fight spirit. And I love you guys. Until next time, we'll see you tomorrow.
While everybody's cheering and so happy, I want to acknowledge Jesus Christ. I tell you what, man. I cannot take credit for a gift like this, man. I really owe it all to him. And I know that there's millions of people around the world watching right now. And I just want to let you guys know that Jesus loves you so much. That's all I'll say about that. I also want to say a big, big thank you to President Donald Trump for being here tonight. Can I get a oh, yeah? Hey, what do you guys think about my version of the Donald Trump? Check it out. USA! USA! Let's go!